Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the World Championships 2015 in Kyoto, Japan. My name is Matthew Bell, and I'm joined here by Jerome. Jerome, welcome.
Great to be here. And happy to have all of you with us at home.
Yes.
Especially if you woke up early enough to watch it over in Europe.
Yes, you have my greatest appreciation if you did actually manage to get up in time for this one. So we're here for day 2, which is the top 8 of both the Dragon Duel Championship and the All Ages Division. So the first match we're going to be casting today, you want to walk us through this?
Yep, we are heading over to the Dragon Duel first off, where we'll see DeAndre Mason from the United States take on Bill McCavitt from Australia. And this is actually interesting because it's the matchup that you could have had back in the WCQs, because the decks that are being played are very similar. DeAndre Mason is running Clifford's with all of the cards intact that you would normally use to counteract Necros, like Skill Drain, Mind Crush, Lose a Turn, etc. And he's facing off against Bill McCavitt and his Necros deck.
Yeah, we were taking a look at this matchup a little bit before these guys sat down, and we actually decided we believe that Bill's got a real uphill struggle as the last Australian in this tournament. This is not a good match to be playing for him.
You don't want to run into the main deck emptiness, the monster effect negation that isn't there in a lot of other decks, the Mind Crushes, which I haven't even seen at all day. And as we can see, the duel's already started. DeAndre Mason's going first, and he's resolved Pot of Duality, picking up what appears to be a trap card, one of the two traps. Starts off with, oh no, he picked up Summoner's Art for Clifford Scout. Clifford Scout is activated, and he goes ahead to search his deck.
This is an incredibly strong start for DeAndre. He's got the Mind Crush and the Skill Drain to match Bill's two searches comfortably, although Bill does have the out to the Skill Drain already with Mystical Space Typhoon. Bill actually interestingly playing a huge amount of spell and trap removal that you don't normally see in the Necros decks, especially the TCG versions. He's playing 3 Mystical Space Typhoon and 2 Galaxy Cyclone.
He's actually playing as much spell and trap destruction as he is ritual spells for Necros. Many of the Necros players in the tournament were running a 3-2-1 split of Kaleidoscope, Mirror, and Cycle, since Cycle is limited. But Bill has opted for a 3-1-1 split, with 3 being Kaleidoscope.
We were talking a little bit about that before the match, and part of that is probably down to the restrictions of Shirt and the extra Necros mirrors. While they do have utility of being able to banish, say, Embryonic and a Clausulist for Summon Your Trishula, it becomes very, very clunky to use that without the Shirt.
DeAndre has taken Sacrifice with his Scout, and it's a good thing he had the first turn in this duel because his opponent has Thunder King Ryo in hand. Reverse the order, and all of a sudden DeAndre's hand isn't very good.
Yeah, DeAndre would have been in a terrible position there because he would have gone for the Pot of Duality. He would have had the extra card, but he wouldn't have been able to Pot Duality because Thunder King Ryo, right. And his Skill Drain would have got countered by Mystical Space Typhoon. So in actual fact, the dice roll playing a huge part in both these players' opening hands.
Alright, Sacrifice is added to the hand. He's got 1 Clifford monster available, that's the Carrier. So he can go ahead and normal summon his Carrier, equip it with Sacrifice, set both traps, and leave the Upstart in hand if he needs to. Well, he's going to go ahead and play it, it appears. But he'll still have 1 card left over to satisfy being able to play Mind Crush. Carrier summoned. Sacrifice is set and then flipped face up. And looks like 2 cards are joining it. Still has 1 card in hand, which is likely the card gotten from the Upstart Goblin. We haven't seen it yet. Oh, now we do. It is Clifford Stealth. If he doesn't have to play the Mind Crush, a very good position for DeAndre next turn. And Skill Drain is flipped preemptively.
That's very typical of TCG play to block out potential Denko Sekka starts, because had DeAndre tried to wait to gain some advantage from negating, for example, a Senju, he would have lost out pretty hard to a Denko Sekka and potentially a follow-up Trish play, which would have been really horrible for DeAndre.
Very perceptive play from DeAndre because his opponent is running a pair of Denko Sekkas in his main deck. Bill dives into the tank to think about what he's going to do here. He's got the Thunder King, but it won't be big enough now that, well, with Sacrifice it's not big enough to begin with, but with Skill Drain that also immediately brings Carrier up to 2,400 attack points basic, plus 300 for Sacrifice is 27. Senju of the 10,000 Hands is activated. Activates effect. Chains Mystical Space Typhoon. DeAndre says that's alright. Go ahead, take your search. And he grabs Necroz of Clausulus.
So, if you're DeAndre, how long are you holding back this Mind Crush? Are you going to use it immediately, or are you going to try and hold back a little bit longer? What's the play that you're looking to interrupt here with Mind Crush? I'll just pull the Mind Crush up for you in case you are not familiar with this card. Chances are, if you've been playing competitively, you've seen a lot of this one in WCQs.
So if he's getting the Clausulus, he doesn't have a ritual spell yet. So you want to wait to see as many different searches as you can until you know that there's a spell available.
Yeah, what we've just seen there is he searched for Necros off the Trishula. That kind of signal sends to you that he's got access to a shirt already, I guess.
Activates Warrior Returning Alive to pick up Clausulus.
Yep.
Now, I think he's going to wait on the Mind Crush until he sees the scope. Yes, there it is. And now he's going to take a guess. That's very dangerous. So, what Bill could be doing here is trying to trick DeAndre into calling Necroz of Unicorn with a potential Mind Crush.
He has revealed both the Trishula and the Clausulus to
Yes.
DeAndre, so DeAndre knows that it is possible for him to get the 9+3.
So in that case, I guess you go Trishula.
Yeah, and let the Clausulus... Is he playing a...
Is he playing Clausulus in his extra deck?
I don't believe he is.
He doesn't have the 3.
This
So if you've seen Clausulus and you've seen Trishula, and you know he has Clausulus because of Warrior Returning Alive right there, then in response to Kaleidoscope, I guess you crush Trishula. It's a very aggressive play from Bill if that is what he's going for here.
Yeah, and he still has a Senju, so he won't be able to get an additional search out of that mirror this turn either.
Since we are in day 2, the final cuts are being handled by the attendant judges in order to ensure maximum fairness. We see the crush chained to the Kaleidoscope.
He called Unicorn. No,
He did not. He called Trishula.
Yeah.
No extra Trishulas, though. Does he play 2? No, he plays 3 Necros of Trishula
Free Trishula, wow.
in his main deck. Really banking on his opponents no longer playing around the card because of the perceived weaknesses of Necros in this format. DeAndre, I don't think, perceived any weakness of the Necros deck in this format. He has very much built his deck to counteract it. And as a result, there is no way to possibly Ritual Summon with Necros Kaleidoscope. And due to tournament rules, Bill is forced to show DeAndre everything that he could possibly do in order to ensure that it is not possible. Oh, and DeAndre picked up another Mind Crush.
And he's got that Scout still in play as well. So he's very, very conceivably playing the Stealth.
And he knows that Bill has not got Valkyrus. In fact, he
Just
knows
like
that
a
the
sword.
card is Book of Moon because he's seen it.
Yeah, in that situation, should Bill have set some cards before he played the Ritual Mirror to try and hide as much information from a potential Mind Crush?
If he was suspecting Mind Crush, and it kind of seemed like he was, then you set the Book of Moon so your opponent doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, I think the whole world is open to DeAndre right now. He's seen everything that Bill has access to. He's got perfect information. He even saw the extra deck to know which options he could.
Question,
could
yeah. The question is, can he do 9,000 here?
Let's see. So he's got a Scout Search, Sacrifice Search.
Tributes Carrier for stealth. So he gets a Sacrifice Search, a bounce of a monster of Carrier, and a bounce of any card from stealth, if he wants it. I think he's not going to send the Senju back.
Yeah, that seems like it would be pretty weak. One potential option is he could have also bounced his Scout and then got an additional search, but he chose to take the back row card out.
Correct. Because he does know that it's Book of Moon, and he doesn't want a potential shot at winning the game to be blocked here.
Yeah, if he gives Bill another turn, there's a lot of cards that Knuckles could draw, and Bill's going to be starting his turn with an empty field, which gives him access to use his ritual spell for searches.
Picks up Cliffort Monolith, checks the hand. He should know that there is no There is no Valkyris there. And now he takes his Scout Search. And it looks like he's going to grab another Stealth. So 2 options. If you're not going for a win this turn, and it looks like he's not going to, then the question is, do you leave Senju on the field so your opponent has to crash it into you to get rid of it?
And then you lose out on your battle phase
Right.
the rest of the turn.
Or do you look at the fact that there's a rank 4 play available that you know about because of the Thunder King, and preemptively take out the Senju but allow the searches to proceed? Now you've got Mind Crush, so keep that in mind.
I think with the backup of Mind Crush, you could quite comfortably just knock the Senju out and deny it rank 4. For example, we know there's a Book of Moon available. Well, there's no effect negation, so it's not like the skill drain is going to stop Evil Swarm from resolving or Evil Swarm Siphon 9.
Right.
And you can press through a lot of damage while your opponent doesn't have the Valkyris and force them to actually, as soon as they see the Valkyris, use them on every turn. As opposed to giving your opponent a chance to say, okay, this attack won't, I won't lose to this attack, so I'm just going to slow roll the Valkyris. Would you take the same line of play, or?
DeAndre Pendulum summons back his carrier. Looks like he is going to go for a little damage here. I like the damage play here because, you know, 1 card can turn the tide of a Necroz match. So you got to end it before they get to draw too many cards.
Yeah, keep the pressure on.
Further, you definitely don't want the rank 4 play.
Yes.
Getting nailed by Exiton is no good, even if the Stealth would stay on the field.
Yeah.
That just means you have a card left on the field to be hit by another one of McCavitt's Trishulas. In the end phase, 1 monster was tributed, so he gets to draw 1 card, and probably wishes he had had that earlier in the turn because it's Vanity's Emptiness and could put this thing on lock.
I think, unless Bill draws something special here, he's probably going to be losing this first game.
Clausulus, Thunder King, Book of Moon, and something are the cards in Bill McCavitt's hand. He has 1 available search for a ritual spell from his graveyard because the Kaleidoscope and Trishula are in there. Thunder King normal summoned. Mystical Space Typhoon was the card he picked up. And he sets 2.
I think he chose to not attack?
He did not attack the
Carrier.
carrier.
Oh, he's just drawn a... DeAndre just drew a disc. Clifford disc.
So that brings up an interesting question of which card to tribute summon for. He normal summons Disc, or possibly Pendulum summons Disc. Unclear from the context of the hand motions. It could be that he's Pendulum summoning exactly 1 monster to try and bait the Thunder King off the field, because it can only be used against the special summon of exactly 1 monster.
Yep. Okay, no, he's pressing the attacks here.
Stealth attacks. Let's Thunder King go.
That's 3,600 damage, I believe, coming in from...
28 over the 19 is 900 plus 3,600 more. Would leave Bill at 1,300, all things considered.
And then he's going to be locked out by the Vanity's Emptiness and Mind Crush. There is a Mystical Space Typhoon for Bill.
Right.
So Bill can out the Vanity's Emptiness, but with the backup of Mind Crush...
Yeah, the Crush is the thing that's going to be really killer here. Because DeAndre's going to keep the Stealth in his hand, so that he has a card to potentially discard for it. And I don't see Bill getting back into this one. Does he have Brionac in his graveyard as well?
Yeah, he's discarded the Brionic on the first turn, I believe, to get Trishula.
Okay, so he could, in theory...
And Recreate as well, being picked up. by
being
the
searched
other.
out. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to be done, if that's the case. All of the spell and trap names. All puns using the Klee name. being recreate, you can see an image of a terraforming caused by Clifford Monolith on the field. Climate change is the other one the players use a lot of. That shows uprooting of a giant tree due to Clifford intervention.
There's lots of fun stuff hidden in card lore.
Card lore, card names. Always something new to find. See our shuffling procedures still in effect there. Sets 1, sets 2.
And leaves one in hand for Mind Crush.
Plays back to Bill. Yeah, it's kind of having to let the Thunder King go in that scenario isn't very good, but he gets to keep his Book of Moon in that case that he can use to dodge an effect negation.
He's drawn a Kaleidoscope. I don't think he has any plays there.
No, what he needs is monsters, not ritual spells.
Yeah, I mean, he already had access to every ritual spell possible in his deck thanks to the Clausulus, but and Vanity's Emptiness being flipped.
Flip preemptively once again, just in case there's some shenanigans with Denko Seka. Very smart play, exactly what you need to do at this point in the World Championship. Kaleidoscope and Trishula are both being banished. And I actually think it behooves Vil to not reveal that he has multiple copies of Trishula in his deck. He might just want to let this one go and then see if he can get the surprise or get a jump on DeAndre in the next one.
He is going first. The Jin lock not available to him if he wanted to open with it, but it's not particularly strong that early in this matchup anyway. You'd still choose to go second if you're Bill? Right?
Yeah, I think you're, in this particular case, despite the fact that your opponent might have all these traps and the like,
It's like your other plays are not particularly massively desirable.
yeah, you might need that extra card just to get any plays going at all. But depending on how much spell and trap removal he's got, he might consider going first.
Yeah.
I don't think I would. He's got Ice Hand and Fire Hand.
That's pretty reasonable in this matchup.
Yeah, I guess you go second and side in your hands, and then you see if you can get a big board wipe out of them.
Yeah, and you've also got access to Fairy Winds as well, which are very good in this matchup, especially with the number of continuous traps that DeAndre is playing.
Yeah, that's a really tough choice in this pick. This is like the one thing you didn't want to see if you brought Necros to the tournament.
Yep. In fact, if you're playing Necros, you almost certainly assumed that most players would have written the deck off.
Or at the very least, change their own Clifford decks to account for monster effect negation not being as good against other things. And DeAndre built his deck very smartly, because this also will handle the glut of Tellarknight decks pretty well.
And that's lethal.
Yep, one last attack does it, and DeAndre Mason of the United States takes a 1-0 lead on Bill McCavitt of Australia in the quarterfinal round of the Dragon Duel World Championship. So, off to side decking. We mentioned it earlier, but Fire and Ice Hand are there if Bill McCavitt needs them, and I think he will take them.
Yeah, they're very good against decks that commit a lot to the field, like Cliff Forts, because there's almost always going to be something that you can destroy and then get your next hand, and you can keep this cycle going on.
You just have to be careful about those normal and tribute summon Cliff Forts.
Yeah.
Because if a tribute summon happens too early, and you get one that's normal summoned and has too high of a level for you to take out with your Fire Hands, you could be in trouble.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
I think Ice Hand is the bigger contributor here, because you can take out the face-down cards and possibly even the scales, so that you can use one of your higher level monsters. Necros of Trishula at level 9 is bigger than all of the Cliff Forts, even if they have been normal summoned or tribute summoned. So you'll always have a play there, if you can resolve Trishula.
Yes. If you're DeAndre, do you have anything that you need to side into this match? I mean, your deck is already in a very
you're
good
already
position.
very main deck oriented for it. But he's got even more hate on Necros in his side deck. He's
Wow.
got a pair of effect failures to go with the Maxis he already plays, and Maxi not as good if you're not in a Clifford or not in a Necros mirror match, because your opponent can't Trishula you, so you can just stop after 1 or 2 special summons. Effect failure, on the other hand, you get to wait till the end and then just negate the one thing that they really need to go through. So I think we'll see effect failure. You might even see Necro Valley.
Yeah, a pair of Necro Valleys in there for
Got the
DeAndre.
Necro Valleys in side deck. That'll both shut down Trishula, which is the linchpin of McCavitt's strategy, in addition to blocking possible safety nets from Necros' Valkyris. And it even shuts off the banishing effect of Necros' Mirror, though McCavitt did account for that, and he's only running 1 mirror.
Yeah, he also has so much spell and trap destruction. He's also got the Fairy Winds as well, which can get extra pickups.
That could be very helpful against Recreate and all of that. The one thing I don't understand about DeAndre Mason's side deck is, some people run a particular Performer Pal in their Clifford deck, and everybody knows that that's Trampolinks because of the shenanigans you can pull with your own Pendulum Zones to unlock your extra deck and let you use your rank 4s, etc. DeAndre Mason has Performer Pal Spring Goose
Yeah, we sat here and we were trying to figure
in
out
his extra deck.
why he was playing that.
Yeah, I'm not entirely certain what's going on with that, but I think we can bring it up for you. Let's go and bring up Spring Goose.
Yeah, because we had to look this one up ourselves.
Head back to the table here as our players are finishing with their side decking. Let's just have a look at Spring Goose. Now, some people will use their 15th side deck slot on just a card that they really enjoy, even if it's not necessarily one that's going to help you out. So Spring Goose can bounce your own Pendulum monsters that you control back into your hand, or Magician and Performer Pals in your Pendulum Zone back to your hand. But you can only use that effect once per turn, and it's only if Spring Goose is in the graveyard. How it's getting to the graveyard, I couldn't tell you.
It's probably more of a, I can't think of anything for my 15th slot, I'm going to put this in for start points.
Now you could, in theory, I guess, use it to pick up a stealth
Yeah,
that you had to normal summon earlier without Tribute.
and then you get another stealth off of it. Disc. No.
I just look at that bow tie and that spring-like body, and my mind goes completely blank. But it's there.
Yeah, it's
Performer Pal Spring Goose
in the
in
World
the top 8
Championships.
of the World Championship. You saw it here first, and probably never again.
So, actually, today's game mat, you may have noticed, has changed. Now, forgive me if I butchered this name. The card is actually called Kuzunoha, the Omnijin. And apparently... Omniojin.
Yes.
Sorry, it's quite a... When it was given to me, the name, and I read it, I was like, seriously? This is apparently an ancient Japanese magician, the lore behind this card. I actually got a chance to see the prize cards for this event when I walked over to the main hall, and they look beautiful. And this mat actually really does do this card justice as well. I'd be very happy to walk away with one of these, but I believe only the winner gets access to
Yes, this
card.
is the winner's card. 2nd through 4th will receive Psycho from yesterday.
In fact, this is actually probably the second most brutally important match that you'll play in your Yu-Gi-Oh career, especially if you're from Europe. The first one is the top 8 of the WCQ to decide whether or not you actually get to play in the World Championships, and the second is this round, the top 8 of the World Championships, to decide whether or not you leave with any prize cards from this event. I mean, you've got the extra redemption round in the US.
Yes.
You don't actually do that in
The
Europe.
redemption round is super brutal because you really don't want to lose twice. And we see, as expected, Bill has chosen to go second, but DeAndre started with the Clifford Scout in hand.
He drew the double duality. We talked a little bit about that yesterday.
I don't want that to ever happen. That's why I usually only play one.
Yeah, he's got quite a bit of room to dig into the deck, but he's going to be giving up his special summons for 2 turns if he wants to actually resolve these dualities.
Oh, another point on Kuzunoha there. I really like, so this is a pendulum monster, and if you look at the scales, one's a blue, one's a red, and I like that the flames over his shoulders match the color of the pendulum scale gems.
That's true. I think the way the monsters are positioned as well is left and right scale. Even the second place cards are actually positioned on the left of the game map.
Right.
There's a lot of cool stuff they've hidden in this.
So Sacrifice is the choice for Mason. We see he's got Max C in his hand. Probably decided to keep that in, even though Bill can stop his special summons anytime he wants. For the most part, against Cliff Forts, DeAndre still needs to dig as deep into his deck as possible. So I can see definitely keeping it in, because you could always Max C into your Effect Failures or something like that.
Sure. I think Bill's got an extremely good hand. He's got a Mirror, 2 Searches, and he's got the Shirt and Preparation of Rights as well. That's a very, very strong start for the Necros deck, especially going second where he gets the extra draw.
Yeah, that's about as good as you can ask for. Maybe like a Mystical Space Typhoon or something to go with that, a piece of Spell and Trap removal. Other than that, it's a pretty solid hand.
Yeah, if you're DeAndre, I'm pretty sure you set the other pot of Duality as well to make your opponent think that you've got a Skill Drain or Recreate or lose 1 turn or something. Oh, he's just
Yeah, Monolith, Mind Crush, and Climate Change were flipped face up for Pot of Duality, and he immediately took Mind Crush, no question about it. And now I think you have to definitely set the other Pot of Duality, so it can't be sniped by a potential Mystical Space Typhoon. Interesting thing, if Maxi is the only card in your hand, you can flip a Mind Crush on it, on something. You can just take a wild guess and chain Maxi to your own Mind Crush.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's okay.
You're allowed to do that. You only have to have a card in hand to activate it, not necessarily when you resolve it.
Yeah.
So that's a nice trick you can use to get yourself set up to draw additional cards and maybe make a slightly questionable Mind Crush play that could just blow the game open in your favor if you happen to be right.
See how Bill decides to play this one. He knows there's a Mind Crush in there. He knows there's a Sacrifice. He's going to see the Helix being normal summoned and equipped with Sacrifice. So there's only 2 unknown cards to Bill currently in play.
Finished up shuffling, and the game continues. Helix, normal summoned. Sets 1, sets 2, flips up Sacrifice. And he's thinking about setting the Duality, decides against it.
Okay. That'll be interesting to see what Bill draws here, because there is a lot of spell and trap removal in his deck. It's very conceivable that he... No, he doesn't hit it. He hits a Valkyrus, though.
Good thing about keeping the Duality in hand is that you can't lose it to a potential Exciton play.
That's true. And with the Mind Crush, you must be feeling pretty safe, because if they try and trish you, you let the Trisha resolve. You let it be summoned, and then you can just chain the Max C to the effect and have nothing in your hand.
Right.
And then
keeping the Pot of Duality kind of
that means
hurts.
The Trisha is going to be live regardless of what happens. The key thing here is how DeAndre chooses to play that Mind Crush. But Bill's hand seems pretty equipped to recover from a Mind Crush play.
Manju's activated. Picks up Necros and Clouseless. Brianak's discarded. He had the one Brianak in there as well.
The ordering of this, do you...
Gets a Trishula.
Do you consider, because you know your opponent's playing Mind Crushes, is to play the cards that you've revealed first to DeAndre, Clauseless and stuff, instead of... Because now he's sort of played the Brionic, and DeAndre knows he still has the Clauseless.
Yeah, you want to play in the method that gives your opponent the least amount of information possible. So, by getting the Clouseless, but not immediately playing it, and instead playing the Trishula, you give away that you already have a ritual spell in your hand. Clouseless, Trishula, Valkyrus. The 1 Necros cycle, Shurit, and Preparation of Rites. Having Preparation of Rites in this case is as good as having a second Necros cycle, except the next one comes with something good from your deck as well.
Yeah, that cycle is actually really good because it means he's...
Activates it straight away.
Shirt, right?
Ooh.
No,
he goes for Trishula. He's going to try to force a summon that...
Yeah, he just gets the Trishula back.
Yeah.
And now the Mind Crush. And Trishula's going to activate. And Shirt's going to activate.
Yeah, I don't
That was
know
very
why he
clever.
didn't call Shuret there.
I mean, you have to guess the shirt in that situation if your opponent does the cycle, because you're mind crushing the Trishula is a total blowout if he has the shirt in hand. Bill's given up full information, but the information he's just shown to DeAndre is, my hand is very, very strong. He's gone for another Trishula that he's picked up. He can activate one per turn, but he's setting up for future turns.
Did he show the hand?
Yeah,
For Mind Crush?
he
Okay.
revealed the
Yeah, I
hand.
missed that real fast. The question is, what is the card on field that's been banished? Duality from hand.
He's taking the Scout out of the game.
Scout from the field.
That's pretty interesting because he can't actually beat the Helix in battle because of the sacrifice.
And it looks like it was the Mind Crush from the graveyard. Leaving Maxi in the hand. Preparation of Rites. Picks up Unicorn and the cycle is back. So now he's up to 3 potential cycles if he needs them. Discards Clauselus.
For Kaleidoscope, most likely.
There's the scope.
No, this is all going Bill's way this round. It might actually be the first time in this tournament that we see a game free on the live stream.
Perhaps. Currently, there's no way past the Helix, though.
He's going to have to play the Kaleidoscope to get the Unicorn and make a rank 4 play to out the...
Right. Now, remember, DeAndre has the Max C.
That's true, and that will give him a lot of extra cards, which will offset the Trishula play.
2 extra draws plus the sacrifice. Kaleidoscope's activated. Max C is changed. Goes for 12.
Okay, he's just throwing his
Brings
hand.
out Valkyris and Unicorn.
Pretty sure he's got...
Yeah, Bill's definitely going to try to win here. He doesn't necessarily actually have game, though. If DeAndre can, say, pick up an effect failure here to stop the Castell,
Yeah, he's Castell, yep.
then that would be a huge blowout. Sacrifice back to the deck. Goes Sacrifice, not Helix.
Okay, so he's not going to be able to run over him, but he does...
28, 27, and 2000 was... Ooh, 75. He
And that's
would have had
actually-
it
yeah.
there. He would have had it there, but he didn't take it. He sent Sacrifice back instead of the monster.
So he's actually missed lethal.
Meanwhile, we have an update. Shinsuke Hiyama has defeated Miguel Soto and advanced to the top 4 of the All Ages bracket.
So that means
That's
Ritual Beasts are out of the tournament.
That's a surprising result to me because Soto had beaten Shinsuke in the previous day's competition.
That's unfortunate. I guess
And it seems like it happened pretty fast, too. It could be that Soto's combos just didn't come together.
yeah, he could have just drew really poorly, or his opponent just learned the tricks of his deck on day 1 and was much more prepared for it on day 2.
Or, as we saw earlier, it could just be drew enough Stellar Nova Alphas to negate everything.
Oh yeah, that can work.
Also a possibility. Helix is normal summoned. Now the Helix is attacked. And then Trishula and Castell attack as well. So in that case, it's 1,000 from the Valkyris plus 2,000 from Castell's 3,000 and another 27 for 5,700, which leaves DeAndre at about 15.
So he missed lethal by shuffling away the sacrifice and trying to play overly safe.
He did.
That gives DeAndre an excellent chance to punish.
I don't know if it's an excellent chance, but it's a chance.
Yeah. He has got a complete scale though, Carrier and Helix.
He does, but with only one monster to summon back with it, what are you really going to do?
That's it. Yeah, he just drew past, and the Valkyris comes in for game. So we are going to go to a game 3 for the first time this tournament.
Well, it's about time.
If you're watching from over in Australia, please cheer on Bill with all that you have. He is your last representative in the either age bracket of the World Championships. And his second appearance, actually. He's he played in Rimini last year and did quite well.
So we didn't have a chance to mention this earlier because we went right into the match, but we also have the bracket for the top 8 of the all ages tournament. And it starts with Issei Nakayama versus Galileo Deobaldia. Akira Kitaya is taking on Chase Robert Cunningham. That's actually a rematch of the final round of yesterday's tournament. As you heard, Miguel Soto was playing against Shunsuke Hiyama, but Hiyama managed to defeat him this time around. And finally, we have Akira Hasegawa taking on Ito Marcus, who you saw in the last round yesterday.
Yeah, we actually really were considering casting that match because we could really show off the value of Kinetic Soldier, which we were talking about, which we saw Ito play. I did see you guys have been making lots of memes and stuff about that.
Yeah, the Kinetic Soldier really got in there yesterday, but it has a very important purpose, and it's not just all Teller Knights are warriors. Something else is a warrior too, and if you remember back to our very first round of the weekend, a hero player got completely devastated by a Necroz deck because of Teller Knight Ptolemaeus in defense position, but more importantly, Necroz of Clausulus in defense position. Both monsters, warriors.
Kinetic Soldier acts both of those, the bane of the entire hero deck, and you have an out to it on a normal summon.
Seems pretty good. It's an earth monster. I wonder if he was ever considered playing like a Mass Change 2 and Dian, or what's the other one?
Dian, and I actually can't draw one.
I can't remember what the other one is either. Probably not. It's a very focused deck around Shadow Mist and Dark Law.
And Mystic Tomato.
Yeah.
MVP. Happy to see that card back.
Very focused deck. But I really like the Kinetic Soldier choice there. It's very good. And maybe we'll see Ito in the future if you can make it out of this round.
Yes, I'm just trying to see if the players are... It looks like they're just shuffling up, getting ready to play again.
Just about getting ready. I don't think you're going to see very many further changes in the decks. Like maybe you'll see Apocalypse 4 Towers come in from Mason, because if it's going to be your last game in the World Championship, potentially, you might as well...
All in on the towers.
Yeah, go in as hard as you possibly can with Apocalypse 4 Towers and dare Bill to be able to do something about it.
Be interesting to see how this goes. I mean, the decision of going first or second, how does that affect your side deck? And again, I think looking at it, not particularly any differently.
Nope, not really. Both players have a very clear plan of what they want to do.
Imperial Iron Wall being picked up by DeAndre. Very strong in this match, especially against the triple Trishula.
Yes. Once he saw that there was a second Trishula, I think that is when we knew that the Iron Walls are coming in. DeAndre chooses to go first. He, in this case, wants to get his traps down and as many cards for free as he can.
I think Bill's still happy with that, taking the second turn. I think if he was given the choice, he would have picked second anyway.
Yes, he would have.
So both players got the favorable position to start the match.
Pot of Duality is activated, gets DeAndre his Scout, and now the Scout is activated as well.
That's something I discussed a few times on the European stream quite a while back, of how you could almost always guarantee you'd go second if you could build a deck that would work going second, because your opponent's almost certainly always going to make you, before we did the revision of the rules, your opponent would always choose to go first. There was never really a reason not to. And if you got to choose and you could pick second and your opponent's always going to give you second, you could have built a deck. But I don't think at the time there was any decks that were really benefiting from going second.
I was actually working on a bunch of things like that, or at least decks that were just, they didn't really care which. But it was nothing I really felt confident enough that I would take it to a major event. So DeAndre picks up Climate Change. That should signal to Bill that Sacrifice is already in his hand, and if that doesn't signal it to him, he'll know when Sacrifice is played on a Helix later on this turn.
Taking a look at Bill's hand, he has a Clausulus, Trishula, Kaleidoscope, so he could go for a turn 1 Kaleidoscope play.
The thing I like here is DeAndre can actually get every card out of his hand if he wants.
That's true, and yep, absolutely. And you could, the Cyclone, yeah, he's going to be able to resolve Cyclone.
Yeah, Cyclone will hit something. possibly 2 things.
And you've got Fairy Wind as well, which is very, very good at this.
Yeah, the trick with the Cyclone is that he has to hit the Iron Wall first, or else it's going to stop him from banishing the Cyclone from the graveyard to take out a face-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like we're just about done with searching for, now, 3 final cuts. There's the Helix. Sets 1, sets 2, sets 3, and then flips it. And activates the Monolith to empty out that hand and make Trishula not so good. Bill slams Galaxy Cyclone on the table
Oh, he
and
hits
hits
the wrong one.
Climate Change.
That's potentially massive, but he still has the Fairy Wind to out the Imperial Iron Wall and the Scout.
And the Monolith.
And the Monolith. And he's taken out the other trap card. Sorry, forgive me, I'm just drawing a blank on the name real quick. Climate Change.
Yes.
Which would have just pulled all of those cards straight back to his hand.
Right. But the key for DeAndre is to try to keep that... you have to keep the Imperial Iron Wall face down and force your opponent to use his Fairy Wind on your sacrifice so that you can just recover it. Or just recover by getting Scout back.
We're going to see Valkyrie search 4 from the effect of Bryonic.
Was that his draw for turn, the Brionac?
Yes, his draw for the turn was Bryonic, which is a pretty solid draw.
It's a pretty good one. Only one on the deck. Picks up Valkyrie and DeAndre checks it real fast. Valkyrie added to the hand. Andre is very intently watching the shuffling process here.
I suppose there's nothing else he can do at the moment. He's just looking for the right timing to flip up his Imperial Iron Wall. Other than that, he's got no way of actually interrupting any of his opponent's plays. So if you're Bill, what sort of plays are you considering this turn? Are you using a clause list to find yourself another mirror, or are you going to go straight for a Kaleidoscope play?
So in the side deck, you've got what? Does he have Star Eater in his side deck? Is 11 a possibility
I believe
here?
He plays Star Eater.
He plays 2 copies of Star Eater.
Wow, so he's expecting that at 11.
Yeah, so
Quite
that
often.
would tell me that this is a big part of his strategy, is that Kaleidoscope play there.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's going to have a go at it.
So he's going to go Valkyrus Clausulus, most likely.
Sends Star Eater. There's Valkyrus. There's Clausulus in attack position. Interesting choice putting it in attack position.
Absolutely, since he can't actually destroy the Helix in battle. I think he's being reminded that that's...
Yes, that is in fact the case.
I suppose it's because when you read Sacrifice, the way you could make that mistake is you go, I actually want that to go to the graveyard, and then overlook that this is one time that it won't just end up in the graveyard.
I mean, you also, every time you look at Sacrifice, you see 4 different effects, so you might just miss that one.
That's true.
And the Clausulus is immediately tributed for another draw. But only the Clausulus. You got to keep the Valkyries up, just in case. Now the nasty thing with Valkyries is that you can't really bounce that back to the hand, because if you do, you're just giving your opponent the ability to stop you from beating them.
Yeah, he has got that Imperial Iron Wall, though, that he could use to block a Valkyris saving the day. But the entire timing, the important part is when that Iron Wall gets flipped. If Fairy Wind catches it along with all of the other cards, that's going to be a huge problem for DeAndre. Granted, you're right, he could just comfortably grab another Scout, fix his Pendulum, and then get back all the cards that were destroyed.
Manju is normal summoned.
Oh yeah, he hasn't used his normal summon this turn.
Takes another Valkyris, because he doesn't...
Oh, it's a Unicorn.
Yeah. How's that, Unicorn?
Yeah, that was Unicorn.
It's hard to tell because it's the same guy dressing up as something different, but only slightly.
Yeah. It's like this shirt, who I like to think is the try-hard of the deck. Just does everything.
Well, the wings didn't go over so well. This time I'm going to make a big snowflake and put it on my head. That didn't work. Well, I'm going to put a head on my head and a head on my arms, too.
Like, short of him transforming into a massive robot, I think he does everything.
Yeah, you got to leave the robot things, the kind of slightly dragonic half-dragon people.
Yeah. And more pile shuffling.
Now, that's the Mandu was the card drawn by Valkyris.
Yeah.
Very good pickup with that. But I'm sure Bill wishes he had it beforehand.
Yeah, that would have made that turn go a lot better for him. Sets a Fairy Wind. Draw.
Picks up Clifford Disc. Very interesting.
And he has got the 2 tribute right there.
He does. And he's going to go for it. Tributes for Disc. I get the distinct feeling that he's about to play straight into a Fairy Wind for everything he's got.
See,
What he really needs to do is try to get that Scout effect first. And try to force the... Oh! That's Helix. That's right. It's Helix, not Carrier.
So he's going to force...
He's forcing out the Fairy Wind now. Got it.
Indeed.
I always get it mixed up, but the way that I've learned to keep it in mind is that Helix is the one that is overlooking the Earth, and Carrier is the one that has the below shot towards the sky.
Right. This is going to be a really good turn for DeAndre.
Sacrifice and Helix are both activated, and Bill has to. I mean, he has to use the Scout right now, right?
Yeah.
Or has to use the Fairy Wind right now.
Yeah, if the Helix is targeting his Fairy Wind, so he's going to flip that up, but I'm not sure. I think he might even be considering just not doing it, because he knows a Sacrifice will just get another Scout. Scout will get another 1 scale, and the next Pendulum will be those 2 cards, and that's a lot of complete monsters.
But if he doesn't, then DeAndre can probably grab enough monsters to just win outright.
Well, he still has to get past the 2,800 Valkyris, which he wasn't able to do with those 2 normal Pendulum monsters, but now if he gets a Scout and gets either Carrier or
Yeah, one of the...
Helix, he'll either reduce the attack of the Valkyris or increase the attack of his monster so he can go over it.
And he's
so
got the Iron Wall down, so those attacks are going to go through.
Yep, and now Bill doesn't have an out to the Iron Wall either.
That's the 1 disc in DeAndre's deck, too, so that was a very fortuitous heart of the cards moment for DeAndre Mason. Like Scout's the choice for Sacrifice, as expected. And we've got, there's Carrier and Helix, 1 each.
This looks like it's going to be quite hard for Bill to come back from this situation, but never count him out. Yeah, because he does. It's that Imperial Iron Wall that's got me.
Yeah, the Iron Wall is... If this game ends right now, it's going to be Imperial Iron Wall that does it. And without any Pendulum monsters on the field, that means that DeAndre is free to use his extra deck. And he's going to do it, making a rank 4 for Silent Honor Arc.
And off a drawback to flipping the Fairy Wind. But yeah, I think you're right. You kind of just can't or not flip it in that situation. Oh yeah, you're going to see Trishula being discarded to protect the Valkyris.
Yep. And I actually think DeAndre is totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Totally fine with that. It was never an effect that needed to go through here. Though it is unfortunate for DeAndre that he can't now Pendulum summon those monsters back.
Yeah, he has lost two monsters, but he still seems to be sitting in a very strong position.
Grabs a stealth. As long as that Valkyris is cleared, there's not a whole lot Bill can do. Pendulum Summon will bring back a Monolith at 2400, along with a Scout, which has a significant defense.
2800.
Or it could be be used as an attacker to shorten the game. I like the idea of shortening the game, actually. Give Bill a lower chance to draw into one of his Mystical Space Typhoons, which is the card that'll actually be able to get rid of Iron Wall.
Even if he draws the Mystical Space Typhoon, so he draws straight off the top the out to Imperial Iron Wall. Where does he go from there? I mean, he's got the Unicorn.
Yeah, he just discarded Trishula. I think he only had the one Trishula in hand.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
So his only remaining card in hand is Necroz of Unicorn. But he's not going to have monsters on the field this time around. So he can start searching for other ritual spells.
Yeah, he has to hit the Mystical Space Typhoon in order to do that, because I'm almost certain DeAndre is going to flip up that Imperial Iron Wall as soon as the turn begins, to again deny a potential Denko Sekka. We've seen a Galaxy Cyclone earlier, but that's not going to be able to be used against the Imperial Iron Wall.
I think he might just flip it right now, just in case. Has he seen Bill's hand this game?
I don't believe he's got a mind.
I don't think he's seen the hand this game, so he would need to flip it preemptively to make sure that there's not a second Valkyrus. Because one of the things, if you put a Valkyrus on the field and leave it there, that's often a signal to your opponent that you have another, or at least that's the signal you're trying to send.
Yeah.
So we see DeAndre now is doing some math. It seems he believes he can win this turn. I don't know that he'll quite be able to get there. He's got, what, one level 4 in his extra deck?
Yeah.
He's got the Helix, he's got Monolith, that's 24 and 18, and the Scout is 1000. So he'd be able to get 300 past Valkyrus, 700 past Manju.
So that's 1000.
It's 1000, which would be 6400 left between 18, 1000, and a 24. Don't think that quite gets there, but it's close.
He doesn't flip the Imperial Iron Wall here, so he risks through the Valkyrus. Granted, I think in that case, if the last card in hand was Valkyrus, I think he still wins anyway. Or at least then Bill was going to be relying 100% on a top deck to get out of this situation. Oh no, because then he'd have had potentially 2 more draws if he wanted to shuffle away his...
Right, if you wanted to tribute away the Valkyrus and Manju.
Ah, so he actually took an unnecessary risk there.
But given the way DeAndre's been playing, I guess that means we're going to see the Iron Wall straight away.
Yeah, he has been playing very... what you've come to expect from the TCG side. Yep.
All the way down to 400. Draws.
Cycle.
Does not flip the Iron
No,
Wall.
he's actually okay because he's got Unicorn to get the shirt. And then he can essentially summon almost any of his Necros monsters. But I'm just trying to think, what could he get? Because he can't resolve a Trishula.
Yeah, I don't think any of those monsters do him any good. He could maybe shuffle some monsters that were summoned from the extra deck back into the deck with Brionac.
That's true. Imperial Iron Wall straight away.
Oh, there we go. Flips it up.
Oh, he
And
passes.
says go. Hand attacks, and
Yep.
that'll do it. This one does go to 3, but DeAndre Mason of the United States takes it over Bill McCavitt of Australia.
Yeah,
And speaking of that, we actually have more results coming in. We got one from the Dragon Duel. Zoltan of Hungary has won.
he managed to win. That was a rematch of the Dragon Duel WCQ final in Dublin, where Andre knocked Zoltan out in the finals there.
And Galileo Deobaldi has defeated Issei Nakayama and advanced to the semifinals over on the all ages side of the bracket. Meanwhile, what we've got so far over here on the Dragon Duel side, Zoltan obviously has just won. But on the other side of the bracket is this one with DeAndre Mason. So none of the semifinal matchups are set yet, but we will bring that to you at the start of the next round. Don't go away. You won't want to miss a single minute of the World Championship.